There are moments in life when we encounter someone who awakens something within us, something ancient, something profound. It feels less like a meeting and more like a remembering. You cannot explain it with logic, nor can you dismiss it with reason. It strikes at the core of your being. It is as if life itself whispers, "This person is meant for you." But how do you know? How can you tell the difference between passing attraction and a connection woven into the very fabric of your existence? Today, I want to share with you 5 signs, deep truths, that reveal when someone is truly meant for you. These are not fleeting impressions. They are experiences that reach into your unconscious, stir your soul, and leave a mark you cannot ignore. There are encounters in life that move beyond the limits of ordinary perception. We walk through crowded rooms, through cities full of strangers, and our eyes glance over countless faces, most of them forgotten before the moment even ends. Yet, every so often, there comes a face that arrests us, not because of beauty alone, nor because of any superficial quality, but because something within us stirs, something unspoken awakens. It is not the recognition of features, but the recognition of essence. It is the moment when the soul seems to say, "Ah, there you are." This sense of recognition cannot be fabricated. It is not the result of careful planning, nor is it the outcome of calculated compatibility. It arrives suddenly, unannounced, like a memory that does not belong to your conscious mind, yet feels undeniably your own. When you meet someone who is meant for you, there is often a strange familiarity, as though you are not meeting for the first time, but reuniting after a long separation. This familiarity is not intellectual, it is instinctive. It bypasses the reasoning mind and speaks directly to the depths of the unconscious. Think of the countless stories people share about their first meeting with a life partner or a lifelong friend. Many describe it in almost mystical terms. "It felt like I had known them forever," or "something about them felt like home." This phenomenon transcends culture, language, and time. It has been described in ancient myths, in sacred texts, and in modern psychology. It is as if we each carry within us a hidden image, an imprint of what the soul longs for, and when we encounter a person who reflects that image, the recognition is immediate and powerful. This is what some traditions have called the meeting of archetypes, the deep, universal patterns that dwell in the human psyche. Archetypes are not just abstract ideas. They are living forces within us, shaping how we love, how we fear, how we dream. When you meet someone who is meant for you, they awaken the archetypal dimensions of your being. They might embody the nurturer, the protector, the beloved, the seeker, forms that resonate deeply with your inner landscape. It is not that they are perfect, but that they stir within you an ancient story, one that feels like it has always belonged to you. Consider for a moment the way memory works. There are moments in childhood we cannot recall, and yet certain smells, sounds, or sights suddenly bring them flooding back. Recognition of the soul works in a similar way. A tone in someone's voice, the light in their eyes, or even the way they carry themselves may awaken in you a resonance that feels older than your current life. It is as though the psyche whispers, "Pay attention, this is not random." Real life examples of this abound. Many couples who have been together for decades describe that their first meeting was marked not by fireworks or overwhelming intensity, but by a strange calmness. It was not the chaos of infatuation, but the quiet certainty of familiarity. One man described meeting his wife at a university event. He said, "I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel like I had to impress her. I just felt at peace, like we had already shared 100 conversations before that night." When researchers study the beginnings of long-term relationships, they find that this sense of familiarity, this recognition often predicts deeper stability than mere attraction alone. Why is this so powerful? Because recognition means that the unconscious feels safe. At the deepest level of our being, safety and belonging are the conditions for love to grow. Without them, no relationship, no matter how exciting in the beginning, can last. When someone is meant for you, you will not feel the exhausting need to perform or to hide parts of yourself. Instead, you will feel seen even before you have spoken much. This is the recognition of the soul. And yet, recognition is not always comfortable. Sometimes when we meet someone who awakens us so deeply, it can be unsettling. It may bring to the surface aspects of ourselves we had long ignored. We may see in them not only what we love, but also what we fear. This is why such connections often feel charged with intensity. They remind us that love is not merely about pleasure, but also about truth. Recognition does not flatter the ego. It calls forth the deeper self. It reminds you that you are more than you pretend to be, and that in the presence of this person you cannot remain hidden. Imagine walking into a room full of mirrors. Most reflect only the surface. You see your face, your clothes, your posture. But then, suddenly, you stand before one mirror that shows you not just the outside, but the inside, your hopes, your shadows, your forgotten dreams. To look into such a mirror is startling, sometimes even frightening, yet profoundly meaningful. This is what it feels like when you recognize someone who is meant for you. They reflect your essence back to you. This sense of recognition is not just personal. It has collective echoes. Across cultures, we see the same stories retold. The lovers who always knew. The friends who felt bonded at first glance. The companions who seemed to pick up a conversation that began long before. These are not coincidences. They point to a universal truth, that human connection is not built only in time, but also in timelessness. The psyche knows what the conscious mind cannot fully explain. Even science offers glimpses of this mystery. Neurological studies show that when people meet someone they deeply connect with, the brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, much faster than in ordinary encounters. The body seems to affirm what the soul already knows. This person is significant. Likewise, long-term studies of relationships show that those who report feeling an immediate sense of ease and belonging during their first meeting are more likely to maintain satisfying connections decades later. The data may be modern, but the reality is ancient. Ultimately, recognition is not about finding someone who completes you, but someone who reminds you of your wholeness. They do not fill an empty space. They awaken a fullness already within you. When you encounter them, you do not just discover who they are. You discover who you are in their presence, and this discovery is what makes the experience so unforgettable. It lingers in memory, in dream, in longing, even if life takes you in different directions. When someone is meant for you, you will know it not because you reasoned it out, not because you made a list of qualities and found a match, but because something in you rises to meet them. It is recognition that bypasses thought and goes straight to being. It is the soul remembering itself in the reflection of another. There are certain experiences in life that cannot be explained by reason alone. You may try to analyze them, to measure them with the yardstick of logic, but they slip through the cracks of rationality and speak instead to a deeper order of existence. When someone is truly meant for you, you will feel an invisible pull toward them, a force that cannot be silenced by circumstance, distance, or even time. This pull often arrives uninvited and inconvenient, disturbing the neat structures of your life. Yet it persists, as though it were not you doing the choosing, but something greater moving through you, guiding you back to what belongs. We live in a culture that worships logic. We are taught to weigh pros and cons, to select partners and friends based on compatibility, background, or convenience. And yes, these things matter. But when the soul encounters another soul it recognizes as essential, logic quickly loses its power. You may list reasons why you should not feel what you feel. You may remind yourself of the practical barriers between you, but the feeling does not disappear. Like a melody that repeats in the background of your mind, the presence of that person lingers. It is like the pull between two magnets. Even when separated, even when you place obstacles between them, the attraction remains. The closer they come, the stronger the force becomes. If you flip one around, trying to resist, there is still a tension in the air, a kind of invisible insistence that they belong together. In human relationships, this magnetic force often defies every story we tell ourselves about what is reasonable. People move across continents to be with someone they feel destined for. Others wait years, sometimes decades, and when the paths finally cross again, the bond is not weaker but stronger, as though no time has passed. Stories of this kind are not rare. They are woven into human history and myth. How many tales, from ancient epics to modern romances, are built upon the motif of two souls pulled together despite all obstacles. Consider the countless accounts of people who part ways, often convinced the relationship is over, only to find themselves reunited years later in a moment that feels inevitable. They speak of the uncanny persistence of connection. I tried to forget them, but something always reminded me. I tried to move on, but no matter what, their presence remained with me. These testimonies point to a truth beyond reason. Psychology suggests that what is happening is not mere chance, but the activation of deeper forces within the psyche. Attraction at this level is not about surface qualities. It is not simply that someone is kind, beautiful, intelligent, or successful. It is that their presence awakens something hidden within you, something you did not even know was waiting to be stirred. This is why the pull feels beyond your control. It is not your conscious mind making the choice. It is your unconscious recognizing what it needs for wholeness. Often, people resist this pull because it threatens the structures they have built. Perhaps they are already committed to another path. Perhaps distance or social circumstances make it inconvenient. Or perhaps they fear the vulnerability such a connection demands. And so they try to walk away. They bury themselves in work, in distraction, in other relationships. But life has a way of circling them back, presenting signs, coincidences, or sudden encounters that reopen the connection. Have you ever noticed how certain names, places, or reminders of someone seem to follow you, appearing again and again, no matter how much you try to avoid them? This is not mere chance. It is the psyche's way of insisting on what the soul already knows. We also see this in the way certain bonds survive the passage of time. Think of childhood friends who drift apart only to find, decades later, that the bond has not diminished, or lovers who reconnect after years and speak of an instant return to intimacy as if no time had passed. Neuroscience tells us that emotional memory is stored differently than other forms of memory. When someone deeply impacts your inner world, the bond remains alive in the unconscious even when consciously forgotten. This is why the pull does not weaken. It lies beneath the surface, waiting for the moment to rise again. The truth is that when someone is meant for you, the connection is not subject to the limitations of the ego. The ego insists on control, on plans, on certainty. It says, this is practical, this is not, this makes sense, this doesn't. But the deeper psyche is not concerned with convenience, it is concerned with truth. And when the truth is that another soul belongs in your story, the pull will continue to remind you, no matter how you try to silence it. Yet, this pull is not always about romance. It can be the mentor who appears at the right time, the friend who seems to enter your life exactly when you need them, the partner in purpose who shows up when you are about to give up. You may resist them, dismiss the significance of their presence, but again and again life finds ways to weave your paths together. It is as though destiny has a will of its own, moving the pieces of the puzzle until the connection is made. Many people mistake this pull as a kind of weakness, as though being drawn to someone despite logic is a flaw. But it is not weakness. It is a call to authenticity. It is life reminding you that you are not here to live only by the rules of convenience. You are here to experience meaning, to participate in the unfolding of a story larger than your own control. The pull is uncomfortable because it demands courage. It asks you to trust something deeper than logic, the wisdom of the soul. When you surrender to this force, you begin to see the hand of life in ways you could not before. Coincidences stop feeling random, they feel purposeful, encounters feel guided. Even obstacles begin to feel less like blockages and more like initiations, tests of whether you are willing to follow through with what your deeper self already knows is right. The pull beyond logic is not always easy to follow. It can take you into unfamiliar territory. It can disrupt the comfort of your routines. But it carries with it a profound sense of inevitability, a quiet certainty that this is where you are meant to go. And so, when you feel this force within you, do not dismiss it too quickly. Do not assume it is merely a trick of emotion. Pay attention. Ask yourself why this person, why this connection, continues to return to your mind, your dreams, your path. Perhaps it is not coincidence. Perhaps it is the unconscious, the soul, destiny itself reminding you that some bonds cannot be measured by logic because they belong to a deeper order of life. When we think of love or of the one who is meant for us, the mind often clings to images of ease, harmony, and effortless joy. We imagine a union where everything flows without resistance, where conflict is absent, where peace is constant. Yet the deeper reality is more demanding and far more transformative. The truth is that when someone is truly meant for you, the relationship is not free of challenge. It is defined by it. Not in the sense of constant struggle or endless turmoil, but in the way a blacksmith challenges raw metal with fire and hammer. The blows are not intended to destroy, they are intended to shape. The person meant for you is not there simply to comfort you in your illusions, but to awaken you into your wholeness. Such a person inevitably acts as a mirror, one that does not reflect only what you wish to see, but also what you have hidden from yourself. They reflect both your light and your shadow. They show you your beauty, your gifts, your untapped potential, but at the same time, they draw out the wounds you have buried and the insecurities you prefer to ignore. To be seen so fully can feel uncomfortable, even unbearable at times, yet this discomfort is sacred. It is the friction through which growth occurs. Without friction, there is no fire. Without fire, there is no transformation. Imagine for a moment standing in front of someone who loves you enough to tell you the truth, even when it hurts. They may call out patterns of sabotage you thought you were concealing. They may expose your fears of inadequacy, your tendencies to withdraw, your reluctance to be vulnerable. In those moments, it is tempting to turn away, to blame them for stirring pain, to seek someone else who makes you feel only comfortable. But comfort alone does not make you whole. Wholeness requires that the hidden corners of the soul be illuminated, and the one who is meant for you will not collude with your desire to remain in the dark. They will hold up the mirror again and again, not to wound you, but to remind you of who you truly are beneath the protective masks. This process often feels paradoxical. We think love should be soothing, yet here it is disruptive. We think the right person will never upset us, yet here they are pressing on our deepest wounds. But ask yourself, what is more loving? To leave you trapped in the same patterns of limitation, or to provoke the growth that allows you to become your fullest self? True love does not cater to your ego. It serves your soul. It pulls from you the courage you did not know you had. Research into relationships supports this. Couples who avoid conflict, who maintain the illusion of harmony by burying their struggles, often report lower satisfaction and greater emotional distance over time. By contrast, those who are willing to engage with conflict constructively, who lean into the tension, who face the uncomfortable truth, emerge with greater resilience and deeper intimacy. This is because conflict is not an enemy of love. It is a forge in which love is tested and strengthened. The one who is meant for you is not the one who never disagrees, but the one who remains through the storm, willing to walk with you into the shadows so that you can both emerge stronger. We can see this truth mirrored in nature itself. Consider how a seed must break before it becomes a tree. Consider how coal must endure immense pressure to become a diamond. Consider how muscles must be torn in order to grow stronger. In each case, growth demands a breaking, a challenge, a confrontation with resistance. Relationships that are meant for us follow the same principle. The love that endures is not one that avoids the breaking, but one that allows the breaking to serve transformation. In this sense, the person meant for you is not only a partner, but also a teacher, a catalyst for your individuation. They awaken the journey toward becoming the person you are destined to be. Sometimes their lessons are gentle, offered through encouragement and support. Other times they are fierce, confronting you with truths you would rather not hear. Yet behind both the gentle and the fierce is the same intention, to call you out of smallness, to push you toward expansion. It is in these moments of challenge that we are given the opportunity to choose. We can resist and retreat, clinging to the safety of old patterns, or we can lean into the discomfort and allow it to change us. Those who choose avoidance may find temporary peace, but they also find stagnation. Those who accept the challenge grow, not just as partners, but as human beings. They discover resilience they never imagined, compassion born of struggle, strength forged through vulnerability. Think of the couples who have endured trials together, illness, financial hardship, long distances, misunderstandings. The bond that emerges from such experiences is not fragile but enduring. They have faced the fires together and know they can face them again. Their love is no longer an idea or a dream. It is a tested reality. The person meant for you will not shield you from all pain, but they will stand with you in it, refusing to let either of you remain less than what you could become. There is also a profound humility in this process. When someone challenges you, they remind you that you are not complete, that there is still work to be done. This humility opens the door to empathy, because as you confront your own shadows, you become gentler with the shadows of others. Love born of challenge teaches patience, forgiveness, and the recognition that perfection is not the goal. The goal is growth, and growth is always imperfect, always messy, always alive. The soul does not seek relationships that keep us asleep. It seeks those that wake us up. And awakening is never comfortable. It asks you to step beyond what you know, to confront what you fear, to embrace what you have denied. The person meant for you will not let you remain asleep to your own potential. Their presence will demand your awakening. They will frustrate you at times, but their frustration will come from their refusal to let you stay small. They will push you, not because they do not love who you are, but because they see who you could become. So when you find yourself challenged in love, do not be too quick to assume it means the connection is wrong. Sometimes the very friction you resist is the sign that you are exactly where you need to be. The person who brings you both joy and challenge, who mirrors both your light and your shadow, is offering you the rare gift of transformation. They are not there to break you, but to break open the shell of the self you have outgrown, so that the deeper self within can finally emerge. When two lives are truly meant to cross, the connection does not remain confined to personal affection or private comfort. It carries within it the seed of a larger purpose. The presence of such a person in your life awakens a sense that what you are building together is more than companionship. It is participation in a shared vision of meaning. The paths of your lives do not merely run side by side like two parallel lines that never meet. They begin to converge, forming a pattern that transcends individual ambition and speaks to a greater whole. This does not mean that both of you must pursue identical goals or walk the same professional or creative road. Life does not require sameness, it requires harmony. One of you may be drawn toward the world of art, the other toward teaching or healing or science. Outwardly, your vocations may appear very different, yet beneath these differences there is an inner alignment, a resonance of values, a shared devotion to growth, truth, or love. It is this underlying harmony that transforms two individuals into partners of destiny rather than mere companions of circumstance. Such alignment creates an amplification of energy. Alone, your efforts may be meaningful, but together they are magnified. You become mirrors and catalysts for one another, inspiring each other to aim higher, to go deeper, to persist longer. This is why the presence of the right person often seems to unlock creative and spiritual resources that had long been dormant. You find yourself writing words you never thought you could write, dreaming dreams you never dared to dream, pursuing paths you once felt unworthy to pursue. The alignment does not diminish individuality, it strengthens it. For when the soul feels supported in its essence, it blossoms more fully into what it was always meant to be. History is full of such examples, partnerships that became more than personal unions and instead birthed legacies. Think of writers and thinkers who inspired each other into greatness, or leaders whose visions were sharpened and sustained by the steadfast presence of a partner. Behind many of history's most enduring works, there was not a solitary genius but a dialogue of souls bound by a shared sense of meaning. These partnerships remind us that love is not only about personal satisfaction, but also about co-creation, a weaving of two destinies into one thread of significance in the larger tapestry of life. In such a relationship, life feels less like competition and more like collaboration. The ego, which so often seeks to assert itself at the expense of others, finds less room to dominate. Instead, a spirit of cooperation emerges. When you succeed, it does not feel as though your partner has lost ground. When they shine, it does not dim your light. Instead, your victories are shared, your growth is mutual. This does not mean jealousy and tension vanish altogether. Those are natural aspects of human life. But the deeper current of meaning pulls you beyond petty rivalries. You begin to sense that you are not merely living side by side, but walking together toward a purpose greater than either of you could fulfill alone. At the psychological level, this is profoundly important. Human beings are not satisfied by pleasure alone. Pleasure may delight us for a moment, but it cannot sustain the soul. What we crave is meaning, something that makes suffering bearable, something that gives direction to our struggles and weight to our joys. When you share your life with someone who aligns with your sense of meaning, even hardship becomes infused with dignity. A difficult day at work, a financial setback, or even the inevitable griefs of life feel different when you know you are not carrying them alone, when you feel they are part of a larger journey in which both of you are invested. One of the most striking aspects of such a partnership is that it draws out the best within you, not through pressure or demand, but through resonance. You see your partner striving toward truth, and it calls forth your own honesty. You see them reaching for growth, and it ignites your own hunger to expand. You see their devotion to love, and it softens the harder corners of your heart. This is why alignment of meaning is so powerful. It is not imposed, it is contagious. It awakens the noblest forces within you simply by being in its presence. Of course, such alignment does not mean that life becomes free of conflict or divergence. There will be moments when your paths seem to diverge, when one is called to explore something the other does not understand. But if the foundation of meaning is shared, these moments of difference do not fracture the bond. Instead, they are integrated into the larger whole. You learn to support one another's individuality, knowing that what truly unites you is not identical goals, but a shared devotion to the deeper values beneath them. It is also important to recognize that this kind of alignment does not always announce itself with grandeur. Sometimes it begins quietly, in simple conversations where you realize you are both drawn to similar questions about life, or in shared silences where you both feel at peace without words. Over time, these small signs reveal themselves as a pattern, a subtle but unbreakable thread of shared meaning. What begins as companionship grows into co-creation, and you come to understand that the two of you are not just passing time together, but building something eternal. When someone is truly meant for you, the sense of destiny in your union is not about perfection, but about purpose. You may not always see the full picture, but you feel it intuitively, that the story you are writing together matters. It may not matter to the world at large, though sometimes it does, but it matters deeply to the unfolding of your souls. And in the end, that is what makes life worth living, not the avoidance of struggle, not the pursuit of fleeting pleasures, but the creation of meaning alongside someone whose soul is woven into your own. There is a peace that cannot be manufactured, a stillness that arises not from the absence of conflict, but from the deep recognition of being anchored in something greater than yourself. When you find the one who is meant for you, you feel this peace, not as a fleeting moment, but as a presence that abides, even when the world around you shakes. It is a peace that steadies your heartbeat, softens the tension in your shoulders, and quiets the restless chatter of the mind. In their presence, you discover that you no longer need to perform, to wear a mask, or to measure your words. You can simply exist as you are, broken and whole, strong and fragile, flawed and luminous, and still be received fully. This is the kind of peace that cannot be imitated, because it emerges not from circumstances, but from the resonance of two souls who have recognized one another in truth. The paradox, of course, is that this peace does not eliminate the storms of life. There will be difficulties, conflicts, disappointments, and losses, but the difference lies in the way you face them. Alone, storms feel overwhelming. They batter against your defenses until you collapse beneath their weight. But with the one who is meant for you, storms take on another dimension. They become tests of strength, opportunities to grow, even moments of intimacy, because you weather them side by side. Their presence does not remove the storm, but it transforms your experience of it. Like a tree rooted deep into the earth, you bend but do not break, because the grounding is real. Think of the countless stories of couples who endured unimaginable trials, wars, illnesses, betrayals, financial ruin, and yet, through it all, remained steadfast in their devotion. In interviews and memoirs, many of them speak not of grand gestures of romance, but of the quiet assurance they felt when facing life's hardest moments together. A hand held in silence during grief, a gentle word spoken when hope seemed lost, the simple presence of the other when the night felt endless. These are the moments where true peace reveals itself, not in perfection, but in the unwavering certainty that you are not alone. Modern psychology has begun to reveal what ancient wisdom has always known. Studies on attachment and secure bonding demonstrate that human beings flourish not when they are isolated, but when they are securely connected to another. When a relationship is built on trust and safety, the body responds in profound ways. Cortisol levels drop, the heart recovers more quickly after stress, the immune system grows stronger. This is not just poetic imagery. It is biology affirming the truth of the soul. The peace of being with the right person is not only felt in the psyche, it is written into the rhythms of your blood and breath. The soul knows it is safe and the body follows. This peace is not something you can counterfeit. Many try to fabricate it, through forced compatibility, through clinging to someone out of fear of loneliness, or through superficial pleasures meant to distract from deeper dissonance. But such peace never lasts. It cracks under pressure, revealing its fragility, because it was built not on truth, but on performance and pretense. Real peace cannot be faked, because it emerges only when you are seen entirely and still loved. It is the rare and sacred experience of being fully known and yet embraced, with nothing hidden and nothing demanded. Imagine for a moment the relief of taking off a heavy mask you've worn for years. The muscles of your face finally relax, your breath comes easier, and your eyes meet another's gaze without fear of judgment. That is the peace we speak of, the release of pretense, the deep rest of being accepted. For many, this is the most healing experience of their lives, because it touches the deepest wound of humanity, the fear that if we are truly known, we will not be loved. To meet the one who disproves that fear is to encounter a peace that heals not only the present, but also the hidden scars of the past. This kind of peace is contagious. It does not remain confined to the private bond between two people. It spills outward into every aspect of life. When you are grounded in such love, you carry yourself differently in the world. You approach challenges with more courage because you know you are supported. You engage with others with more kindness because you are not operating from a place of scarcity. You dare to dream more boldly because you are no longer consumed by the anxiety of standing alone. The peace of being truly connected becomes a foundation upon which greater creations can be built. It is no coincidence that those who find this kind of love often speak of feeling at home, not in a physical place, but in a person. Home is not always a house, a city, or even a familiar landscape. It is the experience of belonging, of having a refuge where you can return, no matter how far you have wandered. The one who is meant for you becomes such a home. And just as a home gives rest to the weary traveler, so too does this person give rest to your soul. But perhaps the most extraordinary aspect of this peace is its authenticity. It cannot be given by force, nor can it be taken away easily. It emerges naturally when two people are truly aligned, when they allow themselves to be vulnerable and present, when they surrender to the deeper current that flows between them. It is not a peace that hides from reality, but one that faces reality with courage, because it is fortified by trust. So, when you meet someone and you feel that inexplicable grounding, that unshakable calm in their presence, pay attention. Do not dismiss it as mere comfort or coincidence. It may very well be the soul recognizing what the mind cannot yet explain. It may be the whisper of destiny, telling you that in this connection lies not only love, but sanctuary. For when someone is truly meant for you, you will know it not in the noise of passion or the excitement of novelty, but in the quiet, steady peace that cannot be imitated, a peace that tells you, without words, that you have finally come home. So, when someone is meant for you, you will feel it in 5 ways: recognition that feels ancient, a pull beyond logic, growth through challenge, a shared vision of meaning, and a peace that grounds your soul. Remember, destiny does not shout, it whispers. It does not always come wrapped in perfection, but it always comes with depth. And when you encounter it, do not run, do not doubt, for life rarely brings such connections twice. If you are feeling this now with someone in your life, trust it, for some meetings are not accidents. They are appointments written long before you arrived here.